don't even want to tell you what church I go to, but hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Chrissie and this is Collette.
Hi.
And today we'll be looking at colorism in Jamaica. Today is the 58th anniversary of our independence from England. So we decided that the best way to celebrate was to talk about something that we struggle with as a nation. To this day. So we are going to do a little soft glam look for you, and as we do the soft glam, we'll be discussing the different types of discrimination and so that one, and the reasons why we still struggle with colorism today. Alright, so let's get in.
Alright, so we wanted to talk about colorism because so much is going on in the world, more specifically America, with the racial tensions and protesting. Everybody's aware, #Black Lives Matter. And I get the feeling that most Jamaicans think that we don't struggle with a similar issue. No, we might not struggle with racism since we have a mixture of cultures and ethnicity that consider themselves Jamaican, one culture, ultimately one people. But we are, it's an aspiration, but it is not the reality, right? Ultimately one people. But colorism is the stepchild of racism, and along with classism, this is something that is weaved tightly in the fiber of Jamaica and Jamaican history. Don't watch the technique or the makeup application. We just gonna blend and see how it come out. What's colorism? So according to Oxford, colorism according to Oxford, colorism is prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically amongst people of the same racial group or ethnic group. And how do you think colorism shows up in Jamaica? As a matter of fact, do you think there's colorism still?
Most definitely.
Or colorism period in Jamaica?
I think colorism goes hand in hand with classism, like you said. And I don't even want to tell you what church I go to, but in the case of my church, I've seen people be treated a certain way.
Church?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've seen people be treated a certain way because of their social class. Right, so
not necessarily colorism or their color.
Yeah. So I would say I'm one of the darkest people that I know personally, but my parents make really good money and then pay them tithe.
So
religiously, so we have respect in the church and thing. So we're dark, but
they can't bypass that.
Facts we have money, it not really, affect us that bad.
They can't overlook it.
Yeah.
You're a good upstanding Negro.
Right. Pretty much. When it comes on to colorism, I can say that I see it more in people's behavior. So not necessarily businesses or institutions, but individuals, I'd say. So if a guy, so to speak, would be approaching me and a lighter complexion friend, chances are she's the one that he'd go and talk to, because everybody wants a brownie and everybody, so I don't I don't see.
And he probably don't even realize it too, because he's been so deeply conditioned to be attracted to the browning.
Right. So I don't really see colorism affecting like people individually. I see it. So it's not in institutions. I don't see it much personally in institutions, but I see it in people's choices and preferences.
I would agree. And I think these days what you see is being labeled as a preference is deep-rooted self-hatred. Hatred of one's self, one's skin tone, and that is usually evident in the type of partners that, not only the type of partners that some people choose, but the reasoning behind why they decide to date someone in particular. And these days, in the social media age, you see people who, I suppose, celebrities. Typically in America, you notice that celebrities, mainly black men, whenever it is that they're dating somebody of a different race or whatever, they dog out black women and say, I date this person because black women this, black women that. To me, that's not a preference. By the way, what is a preference? What? I'm gonna Google.
I want to know if preferences are taught as well.
I'd probably go out on a limb and say that it can be taught. Also, your background, how you were raised, can put you in a position to prefer one thing over the other. For example, you prefer to not date a man or a woman who smokes, somebody who drinks. You prefer to not date somebody who eat meat, if you're a vegan or whatever. But I feel like when it comes to you dating somebody outside of your race, which is absolutely fine if you guys fell in love and you love them because them heart good, them heart clean, they're a wonderful person. But you kind of tell on yourself when you start dogging out black women. That goes to show that you have an issue with black women. You have an issue with women who have the same skin tone as you, and yes, it's easy, that look like your mom. And I know it's easy to say, well, black women are this and black women are that. So are black men. As a matter of fact, men have dogged women out for years. That's the whole reason for a feminist movement. I understand that feminism has evolved into something else, but that's the whole reason for feminism. That's the whole reason for feminism. Men have been dogging out women for years,
centuries,
with the exception of Eve. But we still stick by you guys, especially black women. Even to this day, black women are still in the streets fighting for the rights and the lives to live for black men. And I've seen black women date men of other races, and even though they might be doing it for the same reason,
they don't
go on the internet and trash talk black men necessarily in that way. If you have evidence of that, then please feel free to share it. But I've never seen it. The closest I've seen is the actress Jodie Turner, when she was getting backlash for having a white husband. They were calling her bedwench, which is a black woman who, I guess, sleeps with the slave masters. Very much derogatory. And she defended herself to say that white men were the first men to make her feel beautiful.
Wow.
But mind you, she grew up in a predominantly white area, so she was around white boys all the time. But that's the closest thing I've ever seen the closest I've ever seen any black woman come to saying anything but positives about black men and dating other races. So
even though the field slaves were the slave masters' children, they were still black. So they had some privilege, but they couldn't have the privilege of a white person because they were
them have
flawed.
blood.
Right.
You know. And I mean, the distrust also stemmed from the house slaves being used as pawns and telling on the field slaves if they were planning on running away. So they were seen as traitors because some of them eventually started to love their master so much that them gonna betray them own people. And I would say eventually they stopped seeing them as their own people because if the master have you up in his house, he's also obviously brainwashing you and turning you against your fellow, what would you say, slave men? Alright, so
skin folk.
Right, and today here the scene all skin folk. So that's the crash course in racism and thereby colorism, which is still prevalent in majority of countries. For example, Brazil, which is like 90% black or of African descent.
Really?
And yes, and when you think Brazilian, you think about the Giselles and the lighter, the lighter skin.
They have a name for that race.
What?
I don't remember. So that South American race where they mix with European and black, they have a name for them. Yeah, they do. They have a name. They have a name for themselves. But we don't just call them. Not Dundus. Definitely not Dundus.
Because of that history, Jamaica, even after receiving or attaining independence, we would still, what I understand is that business places such as banks or anywhere that required someone being at the front desk would mainly hire women. Sorry, I can't write and whistle. Mainly hire women who were of a lighter complexion for a long time. Only light-skinned women would be the first picks. That was before the idea of meritocracy was a thing where you were given a job because of what you've achieved, your accomplishments, your studies. So before all of this, it was pretty much a skin tone that would suggest that you're trustworthy.
Right.
I was reading
trustworthy. Just based on skin tone.
Yeah. He's not a dirty nigger. In Jamaica, that's a term. I know, like, yeah.
I could just blind myself.
Yeah. Sorry, was it the dirty nigger? Dirty nigger, which is basically the same as a dirty negro, but it's the Jamaican way of seeing it. And of course it's an insult. So let me read this article that I'm gonna read part of an article I was looking into by Larissa McBean. She had written it for the Jamaica Observer. So she says, recognizing Jamaica's deeply embedded and extensive colorism, numerous dark-skinned Jamaicans bleach their skin to try and secure unearned benefits they see bestowed on lighter-skinned Jamaicans and foreigners. In Jamaica, it is automatically assumed that lighter-skinned persons are more intelligent than darker-skinned members of their groups, are more desirable associates, and are more deserving of senior professional roles than their darker-skinned cohorts. Even today, in competition with darker-skinned Jamaicans, lighter-skinned individuals are more likely to... Sorry, the screenshot cut off there. But what do you think about that?
I think it makes
like
sense.
established skin bleaching is a thing.
So that article says that they want to be lighter because they see lighter skinned people being treated
more
better and so to speak. But
which is true, because if you consider the prison system, people who are more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, mainly lighter skin tone, they get shorter sentences. You know,
you think so?
Yeah, that's an actual statistic. The darker you are, or the less attractive you are, the harsher your sentence will be. So now we're hinting a bit at pretty privilege, but it also comes into play with colorism, because even in schools, darker skinned children are punished more harshly than the others. So that makes sense. You know what I mean? Even though it's a disease, the belief is a disease that just eats away at our being. It makes sense that people would want to bleach their skin to fit in and to finally be seen and acknowledged.
I remember Deion Jackson's documentary about bleaching, and they said really and truly what you're saying is true, because what they said is the girl them not gonna want you unless you bleach, and bleaching is to show that I have money, so I can upkeep my color, you know. So me a rich boy, me a pretty boy.
I can afford it.
Pretty much.
That is funny. That's funny. Also, I was reminded that Buju Banton, you remember when he did sing that song there? Same Loving Browning. And Browning is what we call women. Mainly women with a lighter complexion in Jamaica. And you know, Buju's song, you know, love me brownie. Most of them look whatever. In an article, the writer was also reminding us of Usain Bolt, and should probably use some of that concealer, you know, for contour. Everybody knows Usain Bolt, and at this point, you know, say Usain filter rich, and Usain, upon earning all that money, well earned, because he's worked hard. I mean, Usain. And it came out in the paper that a popular dancehall artist in Jamaica, his wife had some very unpleasant things to say about Usain, saying that he was disrupting the neighbors and the community with his music, which makes sense, because you want to be considerate of your neighbors. That makes sense. However, the issue with what she said was when she continued and said she don't know why him don't go back where him come from. Now, to what me know, you say come from country. You say come from rural Jamaica. So even with all of his yes, classism is still a thing. But even with all of what Usain has done for the culture and the brand of Jamaica, it's still not good enough. It not belong, and these people most likely didn't even have to work as hard as you see to have what they have. Of course, because most of them have them little slave owner ancestors. But I mean, it's a lot of them have them slave owner ancestors and were able to inherit land, able to inherit homes that they can sell, and they can send them to go school. So that generational wealth plays a part, and then she fixed her mouth to say that Usain should go back to where he's coming from. He doesn't fit in this community.
So as it relates to hair and hair preferences, it's always people with the lighter complexions, with the quote-unquote softer and curly, looser hair with looser curls.
Right.
They are more those qualities are more desirable right now, like in our culture, and that's also stemming from colorism. Any hair that looks like it's mixed and not just straight black.
Yeah, the closer it is to white hair, straight hair, because that's the standard, the European standard of beauty.
That is what we call pretty hair. And as a teacher, I hear my students speak like that. And
or good hair.
Right. And it got to a point where I was just like, alright, what's wrong with my hair? Why isn't my hair pretty? Why is everything associated with black not pretty? And they really had to question themselves, like, where did we get this from?
Thinking from. And it's not their fault, because it's learned behavior,
right?
And they're not at the stage yet to process it and say, wait, why do I think this way? Why do I see anything but loosely curled hair or straight hair as pretty? Right. Which brings us to
the 4C.
This brings us to the very embarrassing headline all over the world about the 6-year-old, how much, 6 or 7?
Yeah, she's
about 7.
Yeah,
about that age, who was
6, 7, 8.
Pretty much banned. You know a little bit more about the story. Pretty much banned from school because of her dreadlocks. And what I'm understanding, you make up Sudan? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm baking.
Oh, good for you. No, watch the technique. What I'm understanding is that there are arguments about whether she actually practices the religion or
they don't, but that will happen.
I agree. It doesn't change the fact that they really think that our hair full of lies. I think that was
that was it.
What the principal said.
It needs to be cut for hygiene purposes.
Yeah.
Hygiene purposes. Yeah. So you said they pick their one dirty dread.
And then there's some neat too.
I swear to you, I think it's sister locks she have, because her locks look fine.
It's probably sister locks, but people are trying to say that it's okay. The discrimination is okay because she's not an actual Rasta. Well, even if she were an actual Rasta, this is not okay, because guess what? Anybody can have lives. So this ideology is rooted in ignorance.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's very sad to see this day in Jamaica, considering what Rastafarian and the culture of reggae, more specifically Bob Marley, has done for our country. It reminds me of in America or anywhere else in the world, they like black people's talent, they like them entertaining them, but them not consider them humanity. So we like the vibes and everything will come with Rasta, the consciousness, and we like them putting reggae on the map and all of that because it brings in revenue for the country.
Oh yes.
But we don't consider their humanity, anything that is too close to African culture and away from whiteness is a problem. Even today, I think in Jamaica still, some people can't wear them natural hair out in an afro. In high schools, even if your son's hair is like in boys' schools, if your child's hair is well groomed, just a little bit high, it can't be too high. They will send him to the barber from school. And you wonder, this is not about being well kept. Him hair grow high, it don't grow downwards. But him have to cut it, and I do not believe that this is the same standard for non-Asian children, non-black children. Them hair can grow, them can probably wear a little ponytail. It's just very sad. And the idea that Rasta not clean is just the biggest, most ironic thing to me, because all the Rasta them with me know are some of the cleanest people ever. My first experience with a Rasta man, I was going to school. In a crossroad, you walk through the little market. And
you walk through that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Life be rough. So crossroad in a little through the little market, and we just got off the bus, and we had the bus ticket in our hands. And so I think it was just me. It was me and my sister.
This is not a soft glam look, by the way. I don't know what happened.
I don't know why me don't even reach nowhere that time, but I digress. So we come off of the bus. We're going for down here, so. And I drop the bus ticket with my little nasty self in the square where the Rasta man I try set up him shop. Figure sell him little, in whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the man called me back, I take it up. And I had to turn around and go take up my bus ticket. Because if you know any Rasta, so them wake up early, so them sweep up them yard, them sweep up them surroundings.
So that was just country people in general.
Well, yeah, but I know Rastafarians to be about health and cleanliness, which
True,
is why
definitely.
most of them are vegans or vegetarians. Right. So this idea that hygienic and lice is just a personal bias that them establish as a school rule, because I refuse to also believe that all the teachers and the heads of that school feel the same way. Derek, my husband, was telling me that when he was going to school, there was a white kid that had lice. But they're not going to consider that because we're colorists, and this learned behavior has to be immediately unlearned. And the only way we can do that is if we talk about it more and stop thinking that because a lot of black people have progressed, it's no longer an issue. Look at America, classic example. A lot of black people have accomplished many things, but look at the climate there today. Would you as a black person eagerly move to America to live there and raise your children right now? But so many Americans have made strides and have fought for the civil rights that they do have today and are still fighting for. So we have to do better. Yes, personally speaking, my hair has a slightly looser texture and curl pattern than some people here. Don't say your hair pretty. If you want to compliment me, tell me my hair is healthy. But if my hair is pretty, then what isn't pretty?
Yeah.
What isn't pretty here?
Yeah.
Good hair is healthy hair.
Healthy hair.
You trim it, you oil it, you moisturize it. Some hair types consume. I really need to start doing makeup. Some hair types use up a lot more oil or moisture faster than other hair. It's not to say that their hair is healthy. It might not reflect the moisture, but it's very much moisturized. And at this point, it's just embarrassing. Slavery has done so much already, and I know this type of brainwashing, 400 years plus, gonna take some time to get over, but we really have to make stronger efforts, especially in Jamaica, to rid the society of this level of thinking. By the way, this might have to be wrapped up because my camera battery is dying, and as you can see, I've been talking and not doing my makeup. Anything else you wanted to talk about?
Just the way forward, I guess, and the changes that we can make in our everyday life, and the changes that we can make in how we think, how we raise our children, and what we decide to pass down to them.
Well, one thing I can think of, Manek, that we can stop doing is, telling our children to come out of the sun because it gonna make them blacker.
Right.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with black. For too long, black has been used as an insult. You're blacky, you're black like.
Okay.
Tar baby.
Right.
That's an insult. Why? Okay. I'm richly melanated. Why is that an insult? We have to stop and ask ourselves. I was sharing with you that I had a coworker who just got a line up, and I'm fresh in a man, Chrissie.
Right.
And the boy airline neat and everything, him have a little eye top fade, feeling himself, feeling good about himself. I like say him I feel good about himself.
Right.
And me I hype him up and me I say, boy, you look good and love the alright, so we're losing the sunlight.
Yeah.
Where was I? So yeah, me I hype him up and me I tell him how him look clean, him look fresh.
Yeah, you would.
Here comes, by the way, this is a dark-skinned young man. Here comes this gentleman now, also a co-worker. For some reason, he's offended that me I hype up this young man. Like, what? So, him come and him give 2 cents. By the way, this man who interrupted our hype session has Indian hair, which is held.
In full or mixed?
I don't know, mixed enough. Yeah,
you can see it. Okay.
You'd call him coolie. We call people with Indian heritage and it is hair type coolie. Here in Jamaica, the Lord put a story here. And him come and say, stop full up him head. He say him ear bad hear this. And I'm telling you, the way I went to bat for this guy, you don't think say a meme I talk to. Because we've stood around for too long and we hear this type of language and we don't correct anybody. We think that it's okay and sometimes we really think that it's the truth. But hear that, imagine this man come with him here well fresh and well lined up and you interrupt or hype session to tell him say you feel too good about himself because his hair bad. So I say, what's bad about his hair? I think his hair looks fine. It looks great to me. No, bad hair have, black pepper green. I'm gonna say, okay, so whose hair is good? You think you have good hair? Yeah, you say me a coolie. What's good about your hair? Him can't answer.
Right.
This is a true story. What's good about your hair? Him can't answer. I say, oh, you think so because you have little Indian traces of Indian.
Right.
You have something over him. Who taught you to think that? Where this belief come from? Do you even know where it come from? You feel yourself.
Oh yes.
Congrats, because this not the right for me. I give him the little crash course again. And you can't go around educating everybody. Some people just don't believe what they want to believe. But I would like to think that he was actually enlightened. He was challenged. His beliefs and perceptions of blackness was challenged.